r/AskReddit. What looks complicated to do, but is actually quite easy. Picking a standard pin and tumbler lock. Lockpick Lawyer has taught me so much about locks. Primarily how most of them suck at securing things. Love that dude. Some of the combination locks he cracks just make me feel embarrassed for the companies that make them. Hahaha. You know it's bad when the potential customer feels embarrassed for you. Some really are that bad though. Taken off the market bad. I also really like how short and completely to the point LPL's videos are. That is a man who doesn't waste your time. Oh, totally. Just pure quality content, no filler. No unrelated personal anecdotes and rants. Just locks and picking them. Basic sewing. Things like simple hemming, sewing buttons are easy to learn and will make your life easier. If you keep learning, it's amazing to be able to fit your own clothes. Right. A friend told me that she was going to have her pants dry cleaned because a button had come off and they would replace it for her. What? Literally only takes a minute to fix with a thread and needle. Origami paper cranes. It's a tradition here to have 1000 cranes folded for weddings. They are often done in gold foil, framed, and mounted. My parents never did, so I decided to fold them for Christmas one year. By the time I was finished, I figured that I could probably fold one with both hands behind my back. So I tried it. Yes, I can. My wife has Japanese heritage and lost her mom not long after we started dating. To honor her at our wedding, she and her sister folded 1000 cranes. We strung them up and made them a photo backdrop for the wedding reception. When I was young I tried to spin a ball on my finger and couldn't do it. So I tried again and again. And within an hour I pretty much figured it out. What's the trick? I can never seem to get it to spin fast enough. Ed, love all the replies. Thank you Reddit. I can't explain it. The transition from spinning it to getting your finger under it is just not natural at first. The more attempts you make it, the quicker you can get at that transition / quicker you can spin. Shuffling a deck of cards. The idea isn't hard, but I got clumsy hands, as if I'm a huge puppet or so. Doesn't help that I got huge hands either. But having big hands is a plus when handling a deck of cards. Crochet. It's just pulling loops through other loops in various combinations. Knitting too. It's just one stitch, and that stitch backwards. If you can do that, you can make almost any knitting piece. Keeping track of stitches / rows, following complex patterns, making clothes that fit, and adding embellishments like cabling can be a bit more tricky. But you can do all sorts of cool effects with just knit and purl. It's neat as well to find yourself getting quicker and quicker at completing rows. I knit and people think I'm a fucking wizard, even when I'm just doing stockinette. I've given up explaining that it's 99% muscle memory. I mean waving 2 sticks together while muttering and cursing followed by something appearing that did not exist before is textbook wizardry. Tying a tie. Speaking of tying ties, here's a random generator for tie knots which gives you instructions on how to tie a random tie knot out of 266,682 possible knots. Have fun. Reloaded this for half an hour and yeesh, not a single one that isn't awkward. Whole lot of them leave the narrow end exposed in front, and half the time it's going up the neck. Is it me, or do all the photos appear to be a tie that's already tied, and you're just adding some extra loops in there? Using a PC. I've worked in a training capacity before, and I found that most people's problems are not the difficulty, but rather being intimidated and feeling overwhelmed. Especially if you're a bit older and are just now sitting down to learn how to use one. Much like many things, if you take it slow, it's not bad. Once you get the hang of things, it seems silly to have stressed out about it. Yup. One of my grandpas is over 80 years old and fell in love with computers and technology only a decade ago. One of my cousins taught him how to use it, and by watching educational videos he's taught himself so much. Last time I came to visit he streamed a video recording he had of himself playing the guitar and singing from his tablet to the TV. No one had taught him that, but he even had the Bluetooth speakers set up and was so proud singing along while he showed it to us. He has learned how to edit videos. He keeps a lot of his own lyrics in a Word document and takes pride in filing and organizing all the family photos on his computer using a scanner. Super impressive for a man his age. Meanwhile, my mum calls me almost every week to ask me her password to Netflix or how to delete comment off Facebook. My mom's favorite saying, "I just can't do that, have you tried?" Well, no. She's tried nothing and she's all out of ideas, lol. Sounds like my mum. Solving a Rubik's Cube. I don't know who gave me my first 3x3 cube, but I remember being in the 6th grade watching YouTube videos on how to solve them. Once I understood how the algorithms worked, it was just a matter of memorizing them. Once you memorize them, it's game over. I remember showing all my friends how I could solve it with my eyes closed. They were shocked, as were my parents. The more impressed they became, the more worried I was that they would find out how easy it was, lol. Middle school was fun. Where can one get started with learning the algorithms? YouTube. Honestly, this is like the perfect place for anyone looking to get started on almost anything. Copying posts that reached top of the month, but slightly changing the question to get gold. You don't enjoy reading, is it? Moralic standpoint. Necessary to tell someone. Random thing. Questions which are formulated questions from a thread a few hours ago. Is it unethical not to tell my boyfriend I murdered his parents? Tell him. If he leaves you, then you've dodged a bullet. The same can't be said for his parents. Too soon. Baking. Can you follow a recipe? Can you measure? Can you time things with a clock? Then you can bake. Not saying it doesn't take a tremendous amount of skill to become a great baker, but to make things like cookies or cakes that aren't from a mix, it's not that complicated, yet everyone is amazed when you do it. Good life pro tip. Cooking is experimentation. Baking is chemistry. You often have to adjust ingredients, spices, and ratios when you cook, because even doing something exactly the same as last time might not yield the same results. You just have to follow instructions when you bake, or else everything'll get fucked. Not following instructions exactly is how you get those really awful reviews people leave for recipes online. This recipe for angel food cake requires eggs, but I didn't have any, so I replaced them with some yogurt and vegetable oil. It didn't really have the light consistency I'm used to with angel food cakes I usually buy at the store 1/5. This is how I judge a product from online reviews. What did the 5-star reviews like? What did the 3-star reviews dislike? Are the 1-star reviews genuine criticism, or are they just fucking morons? Fuck up your entire life. Now I'm going to bed. Come back here. There's non-issues we need to create problems out of. A lot of molehills just waiting to be turned into mountains. Looks complicated but is easy. Rubik's Cube. Minesweeper. Disassembling firearms. Easy to do, but hard to learn. Flying. Some types of writing. Playing a music instrument. Flying gets much easier as you progress, but I wouldn't say it ever really reaches an easier level. Aviation has a bunch of neat gotchas that will humble you as soon as you think you've got it all figured out. I read it as, you fly a plane for a bit, easy. You land without dying, hard. Being a lawyer. It's 99.99% admin and filing stuff. If you've ever watched an office clerk work, you're basically a lawyer. Obviously I'm not talking about advocates who go to court. There's some thinking on your feet that happens there, but even then, less than what shows make you think. Mostly just boring document discovery, etc. The big surprise reveals you often see in legal dramas are literally illegal to do in court. Also approaching the bench when not asked by the judge, etc. Mostly a tedious, mundane job, and most lawyers I know are terrified of becoming obsolete because, well, they already kind of are. Source: am lawyer. How can you read legal texts without getting insane? It's like written by sadists who get paid for not using punctuation and repeating the same thing with different words. Being there for someone. Most people always know that one person who always knows exactly what to say to cheer someone up or help someone through a tough time, and you probably wonder, man, how do they do that so easily? It's really not hard. Just listening and honestly and openly talking to someone can do wonders. You'd be amazed how much you can actually help. Related to this, I'll always remember a bit of advice I got from a teacher a number of years ago. When two people have a conversation, They take turns to talk. A lot of time spent in that conversation is waiting for your turn to talk. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because you're also paying attention to what the other person is saying, but you're still waiting for your turn to talk. Sometimes, when the other person is talking about something that's bothering them, or it's something that's difficult for them to talk about, one of the best things you can do is to give up your turn. When there's a pause, don't take it as your turn to speak, because it could just be them gathering their thoughts before they say something else. Don't just sit there silently though. I'll often make a comment every so often just to show I'm listening, or repeat back what they said in different words, so that they know I understand them, but they take all the turns they need. This is also a good technique for getting somebody to open up about something that's bothering them. While having a conversation, people have a need to fill silences. They might otherwise say something they otherwise wouldn't have to fill that silence. Excellent way to describe the process of communication. I would add one more thing, though. When listening to the other person, don't sit there and formulate what you want to say next. Listen.